Hello, it is Creature! Kinda wanna get this done quickly, so Aneurism IV is a metal name, and is like if City 17 from Half-Life was mixed with 1984 and set itself at the end of the world. To be honest, I don't know any of the lore in this game, if there is any to begin with. This has been proven to me, as during the writing of the script, there are no 2-hour-long lore videos detailing the granular lore of the wooden planks. So I'm gonna make up my own. In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, there is no peace, only toil. While it is my personal headcanon that we are just working on some random imperial civilized world that is under some kind of attack by Nurgle cultists, I will refrain from my average 40k fan tendencies for the remainder of this video. We are so far into the future that nobody really knows what year it is. All that we do know is that we must serve the cortex. Sometime in the past, humanity was attacked by the rot. Whether or not the cortex existed beforehand is unknown. What we can safely assume is that the world is, for all intents and purposes, dead. Overtaken by the rot. All natural life has been, well, rotted, and the rot feeds off of humanity, and will corrupt anything else it touches to also feed off of humanity, as can be seen by the fact that the few remaining crops, bone corn, tumor potatoes, and sanguine grapes, all feed off of human blood, and they will implant any who farm them with some kind of spore that will hurt the host if they do not feed the parent plant. Also, all of the fish in the lakes are some kind of carnivorous abomination or leeches. From what I can see, there is no natural living plant life or wildlife that has not been corrupted by the rot. But what I do know is that the only thing keeping us alive and free from being fully consumed by the rot is the cortex. Is there more than one cortex? Is there more than one city? Is the entire game just a bunch of different simulations being ran by the cortex in less than a millisecond, No Man's Sky style, while the real world attempts to deal with the rot? A theory that I think holds some kind of water if you think about it. The truth is, I don't know. The cortex and its walls seem to keep the worst of the wasteland out, while we pick through what remains inside. And as with any closed system, the populations are controlled by the cortex. We are a ghost in this game, using... yeah, I'm not pronouncing that, I'm just gonna call it amnesite, which is effectively good boy points, and allows us to take over bodies of various living humans. We can possess the body for the duration of its life. Once it dies, it's dead. Our job is to just play our roles in this society. Don't be a bitch. If you die, or if someone kills you, and it was a part of their job, then let it go. If some dude is running around like a jackass, then report his number to the nearest controllers and tell them that he has been stealing from metalworks, or that he has been in active employment of the scum and must be dealt with post-haste. In short, we are free agents in this world. We can either join the cortex, join the scum, or play neutral.
Why are you so short?
Cigarettes and crack!
Being a prole, you are at the bottom of the food chain. You will be one of the many nameless and faceless masses doing all of the actual work in Aneurism IV. Since you are a prole, your job is simple. Work the factories, feed the cortex, and keep your head down, since the nail that sticks up gets hammered down. I should also mention that voice chat is a key part in this game, as you are going to need to be able to actuate your vocal cords in order to form pseudo-guilds around the various work areas in order to maximize your pay. The cortex, benevolent as it is, will pay you credits every 15 to 20-ish minutes, determinate on the amount of work you actually complete. The key word there is complete. The amount you're paid is determined by how much work you do. So for every job, except Wartime, you only get paid if you put items into the crates. Let's say you go to metalworking, and the crates require metal plates. So you spend some time mining the ore and the coal, you then turn around and smelt them into bars, and then finally press those ingots into sheets to put them in the crates. Simple. However, if at any point during the forging process, Timmy the shitbag decides to steal your plates or ingots and drops them into the crates, he will be getting paid for the whole job, and not you. Hence why we make guilds and murder thieves on sight. Get some boys together, have everyone wearing something so that they can be easily identified. Since nobody has names, we all have numbers. Pool your money, pay off some controllers or limitators to guard you and the area that you're working in from thieves, and now you have the ability to work unmolested.
The machine is immortal.
There are 4 main factories: distillery, metalworks, laundromat, and ration factory. There's also Wartime, but we'll get into that one later. Working in the factories is how you get money and is how you get amnesite as a prole. You will get a percentage of an amnesite for each completed task, and you can also scavenge for items in the trash cans to sell them to the various other classes that actually need them. I'd recommend selling them for dirt cheap in order to make some of that starting money. If you get enough, you can buy some of the most valuable food in the game, some of that gabagoo. Distillery is where you brew stuff. Firstly, you will have to grow the crops in the greenhouse. Bone corn can be used for moonshine, but also cooking various food items. Potatoes make vodka, and the grapes make wine. You must feed the plants your own blood in order to make them grow, and while they grow, I would not recommend leaving them unattended for too long, as they will demand more blood from you, and if you're too far away, they will start hurting you. Also, if your crops fully grow or need watering, somebody else can just steal your crops right out from underneath you, or just take over your grow house. So unless you really need food or water, you're just gonna have to puppy guard your crops. After you harvest, go to distillery and drop the crops into an unused still. If there are no unused stills, see if somebody is brewing what you're trying to and offer to drop your crops in and share the load of brewing. Each crop gives you 4 bottles, and I cannot stress this enough, the game is so much easier if you're open to making friends. Distillery is by far the most profitable factory to work in. Since each crate can hold 12 bottles, you get 0.2 amnesite for each bottle drop and 0.8 when the crate is completed and you sign it. Assuming you are able to get 6 crops out of a grow cycle and brew them all, that's 24 bottles, which gives us a grand total of 4 amnesite and a good amount of credits. Brewing the crops is actually very simple. Turn the still on and let it gain some heat. You want the still to be between 100 and 150 degrees. If it reaches or goes above 150, it blows up, and you lose everything. Metalworks is where you'll be able to get some materials for making your own tools, and is where you can get a free pipe to mine stuff and defend your property. Work here is simple. Get a pipe, go to the mining pit, mine coal and iron, bring it back, smelt it up, and turn it into whatever the crates require. I will say that most of the thieves I've come across in this game are in metalworking, so definitely be on your guard. Practice social distancing and threaten anyone who comes within 5 feet of your workstation by promising them that you would see it as a pleasure to beat them over the head with a rusty pipe until the walls are splattered with their blood and brains, where you will then chop up their still twitching bodies with a rusty screwdriver for the meat before throwing their fetid carcasses into the biofuel reactor. This is not a joke. In this game, the second somebody drops dead, everyone within a 30-foot radius will descend like vultures. First, looting everything they had on them before whipping out the shivs and screwdrivers to flay the flesh off the dead guy's bones, leaving a fully picked over skeleton within 5 seconds. You can use some of the ingots from metalworks to make knives and pickaxes, which is kind of funny since the random citizens of the hyper-dystopian Aneurism IV have more rights than your average British person. Ration Factory is by far the most chill place to work, since it's going to be closed down 90% of the time, and it requires math in order to actually function. Since most people who are running around Aneurism IV are brain dead fucking, you're gonna have free reign here if you're able to do some basic arithmetic. And if you fuck up some of these basic math problems, you will lose amnesite. And considering the complexity of these hyper difficult math problems are 7 plus 5 or 3 minus 6, I feel no sympathy. You can feed the Ration Factory with either bodies or fish. We like to have fun here at the Ration Factory, where we like to prank some of the new hires by shoving them into the spinning blades that will liquefy the fish, seeing them turned into a human pink paste in less than 0.02 seconds. The only time there's ever actually any work to do in Ration Factory is during a ration cycle. Laundromat can also be pretty laid back, but is normally where most of the proletariat revolutions form. All you have to do here is get dirty laundry, wash it, dry it, fold it, and then send it out. Seems innocent enough. However, for some reason, there is always shit going down at Laundromat. I don't know why that building attracts chaos. I remember whenever I first started playing, a random liquidator told me that, quote, there are always bodies at Laundromat, and to this day, he has never been wrong. Wartime is a special event factory. Whenever the Wartime factories open, all of the proles descend onto the factory with the utmost gusto. You must gather parts, then build bombs. Wartime is where you can get a free screwdriver. You take the bomb parts, put them on a table, hit them with the screwdriver until you get 100%, and then you go and get the next part. And one of the fun things about Wartime is that you only need to hit the bomb once with the screwdriver to get credit for the whole bomb. However, most people either don't know that or don't care. It's a group effort, and since you're going to be getting a lot of amnesite and a lot of money, just be on the lookout for the other proles in the cortex. Screwdrivers are just really shitty shivs, and since there's going to be some brain-dead Luddites who will just stand at that table, auto-click swinging, or better yet, a horde of mentally challenged apes who will constantly be shanking each other, you will lose a lot of sanity, as one dude is going to die, and the cortex is going to open fire into a crowd of proles, killing 7 just to get the one guy. And about half of the proles are going to be dropping dead randomly due to bleeding stab wounds. Throughout the, I have no idea if the word day even applies anymore, periodically, different events will happen. Some of these are on a timer, and some are directly player triggered. Some of the bigger ones are Payday, where you'll just go to a pay terminal and collect your pay. Wartime, where the pandemonic cacophonism that is Wartime Factory opens up. Ration Cycle, where we all get free food. All you gotta do is just go to a ration area, get some food, and that's pretty much it. I will warn you that if you cut or steal during this, you will be headhunted by the entire fucking server. The ration line is sacred. Do not fuck with the ration line. Alternatively, you can always just stash your ration, since they do tend to sell for a very pretty penny. I should mention that if you die, you will lose all of your money and any pay waiting for you in the payment terminal, and any progress to payment that you got during your life. You can save your money by depositing it with a banker, but we'll talk about that later. The main player-driven events are Darkness, which is the Purge. You can RDM with no negative consequences, and the Scum Squad from Down Under will be causing havoc in the streets, slaughtering indiscriminately. As a prole or anything that isn't either a doctor or a trader, your best bet is to just hide. And finally, Limitation, when the cortex goes into the sewers and attempts to eradicate all the scum. It's effectively like a reverse purge. Everything up until now has been from the perspective of the proles, the lowest of the low. However, you will not always be a prole. After getting some amnesite, you'll be able to take a better class and have access to their in-game mechanics. However, you can still do a lot of the factory jobs to make a little bit of money on the side. There are 3 main factions: Cortex, Scum, and Neutrals. As a prole, you are considered neutral. Cortex, the long dick of the law, fucking over anybody who dares step out of line. Also the ones protecting your ass from the scum and the shitbags. They are...
What dreams of chronic and sustained cruelty.
While considered neutral by the game, and they answer to the controllers and will be headhunted by the scum, since liquidator jobs directly hamper the scum by burning rot growths, fixing broken equipment, and cleaning up bodies.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part too.
Effectively the same as a liquidator, you're just given a badge by the cortex and your flamethrower has been upgraded to a multi-melta.
Sometimes my job is like a garbage man's. The way I take out the trash.
You're a beat cop. Actually, that's not accurate. You're an Arbites, a cop with Kevlar and the ability to get some pretty decent weaponry. You keep order, find contraband, kill scum, and lawbreakers. And I will say, the definition of lawbreakers is very fucking vague. Limitators. I just call them judges. You're a fucking tank. You have a ton of good weapons, a ton of armor, and are able to eat entire magazines with very little issue. Effectively, the end stage of the controller pipeline.
We have come home.
It is our solemn pledge to bring about a new and glorious age of freedom and prosperity.
You are what lies beneath the streets, the scum on the underbelly of the cortex. And ironically enough, the cult is by far some of the most trustworthy and safest group of people to hang out with, since cult-on-cult violence rarely ever happens. Everyone pools their resources together and works together for one goal: rot the server. What does this mean? It means that if you're successful as a scumbag, you can force the server to completely restart. Everyone starts at square one, nothing carries over except for the cosmetics that get dropped occasionally. The cult is made up of... You are a foot soldier for the Rot Cult. Your job is to scavenge the underground in order to supply the tankier zealots and other combat-focused members with guns, ammo, and other necessities. The Zealots are effectively the leaders of the cult. If they have eaten enough meat, they can turn any prole or scum into Zealots. They are tanky as shit and are effectively the evil version of the judges. They're going to be the main combatants of the cult.
It only hurts when I laugh.
Malpractitioners are just doctors who have joined the cult and are evil now.
Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
Rogues are also controllers that have turned evil. And finally,
The air and water flowing hard.
slaves. If you fuck around in this game a little too much, you will lose amnesite, and if you die with negative amnesite, you will spawn as a slave. Being a slave fucking sucks if the term slave wasn't hint enough for you. During being a slave, your job is to just pick up rocks and drop them into a hole. You will do this until you've reached at least 0 amnesite, where you will then throw yourself into the mining equipment in order to end your pitiful existence and respawn as a prole, which in comparison is a lot better. Finally, we have the neutrals. You don't really have an alignment to one side or the other. However, you may be seen as being naturally loyal to one side. Either way, most people aren't really going to attack you unless you're a prole or limited.
Ooh, what you buying?
Are effectively wannabe bankers. They're able to order items and then sell them at their stores. I would not recommend going trader or banker unless you have the amnesite to actually become a banker and at least 300 credits saved up. 150 of those are going to be used to actually get a shop, and the rest is going to be used stocking up your shop. I also feel like now is a good time to mention, as of writing, you can only have one property.
But Yogurt, what is this place? What is it that you do here? Merchandising.
Are, in my opinion, some of the most important people in Aneurism IV, since they are how you actually store your money between lives. They do charge a service fee, usually around like 3 to 5% of the amount being deposited or withdrawn, and I should mention that, like in real life, bankers have an unspoken agreement with one another, the banker's fee, which is 0% since a banker cannot bank with themselves. I should also mention that if a banker has a unreasonably high fee, they're going to be lynched by the prole. Bankers can also buy and order things like traders and can be seen as the end of the trader tree. I'll also say that being a scum banker is extremely profitable. There are shops down in the sewers that are stupidly cheap to rent, like I'm talking 25 bucks. And since you can order and source all the things that can't be found in the underground, and since you can actually let them save their money, you can make bank, pun intended. And you can charge a premium for items like benzodiazepam with a 50% markup and a generous banking fee of around 5 to 10%. Why? Well, to put it simply, if you go into the sewers, you're going to be tagged with a limited status for like 10 minutes, during which you're going to need to lay very low and wait out the status before doing anything above ground. If you don't, a random controller is going to put you down like a dog.
Cigarettes and crack!
Basic class, we went over these guys before, see the previous however long this video is.
Are you being intentionally dense?
Huh? Lastly, and certainly not least, corpsmen are the doctors. Your job is to heal everyone, except for the scum, and to make meds and stock the pharmacies. To cook the drugs, you just get the ingredients, throw them in the cooker, wait for a bit, listen for the faint and distinct ding, then collect your stuff. If you leave it for too long after the ding, the machine will explode. I wanted to keep this as a shorter video, but since I'm already at 8 pages for the script, I'm just gonna cut it off here. There's a lot of things that I didn't really get into, from the crafting to anything really having to do with the scum, to owning property or trading or anything like that. And there's a lot in this game that I learn every single time I play it. It's also constantly getting updated. Velocet, the people who made this game, have been working on it for years, and I really wish I would have come across this game sooner, because as somebody who has put a lot of time into games like this, Aneurism IV is right up my alley. 9 out of 10. I will definitely be playing more of this in the future, and I might stream it. Maybe. Since this is an open voice game and people tend to like screaming the funny gamer words, it's gonna be a little bit risky. Speaking of streaming, I will be continuing the tradition this year on June 19th. I will be doing my birthday stream, where I stream through the entirety of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance in one sitting. And after that, I don't know, I'll probably play something I've reviewed or already talked about, or something I plan on doing in the future. I don't fucking know. Anyway, thanks for sticking around, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.
I wish you could be mine for eternity. Could you please be mine? Hey, you trapped my soul, you broke my law. I think you're fake, cause you stole my heart, trapped my soul like a superstar, start,